What is up? I'm Jared Welty, Aaron Halterman. This is Blinkers Off. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, what's going on? Happy almost New Year to you, Mr. Welty.
Yeah, you too, buddy. And we're sitting here watching the this game together here on our on the other screens, and it's just it's almost too good to. It's like a train wreck. You can't stop watching it. The Tennessee Purdue bowl game, which I mean, what is the bowl game? The Music City Bowl.
Music City Bowl, yeah.
Holy shit! Like we jump off on there earlier, or you and I talking, and you're like, you got Tennessee, and they're just pissing you off. All I've seen is touchdowns since I've turned the game on. Holy shit!
You can't turn away. It's been unbelievable. Purdue's up 45-38. Tennessee's on the 2-yard line. I think it's going overtime. Maybe I don't know, Jared.
They might. Tennessee just scored. They might score like 3 more times. So I don't know. Like we kind of felt like this thing might go down to the wire in terms of Tennessee needing to go score. But shit, man, like might be the team that has the ball last year. See, you're in trouble because the 3.5 puts you in a bad position. You need overtime.
I need a miracle.
That was
It's just unbelievable. Tennessee looked like they were going to run away with this, and it's just been really a train wreck of a game ever since. But it's been entertaining. You can't say this one hasn't been entertaining, and a lot of the bowl games have this year. It's been fun. I know there's transfers and opt-outs and all that, but like I said before we got on air, these bowl games have still been really fun to watch. So. The guys that are out there are really trying hard to win, and that's the good news on these games.
I mean, she got 90 points scored right now in this game. I mean, I don't know what the total was, but I'm guessing it's over now. So,
yeah,
slightly. Yeah, no. This is you won for you last night. So that was good. And of course, we are a day away, I guess, day and a half away to the big bowl, the bowl games for the playoffs, right? So obviously that's huge. How are you doing so far in terms of the bowl games, and what do you got going forward?
It's funny you asked that. I'm having a great bowl year this year. Really, really good. I'm in a contest that started 3 days ago, and I'm undefeated in it. And for the website, we've done pretty well. We both really liked, we being Papa Dude and I both really like Tennessee, though. So our heart rate is up quite a bit here. So we need to get this one home. But we've done really, really well. It's funny. We both disagree on the big playoff games. I'm taking Cincinnati plus 13.5. He's taking Alabama. And then I'm taking Georgia minus 7.5, and he's taking Michigan. So I think the games Friday and Saturday are definitely toss-up games. For some of these other ones, I felt pretty good about leading up to the big ones.
The playoffs start. Let's see. We got December, tomorrow. The first game is 3:30, 7:30. Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, Georgia. You got to think is it Alabama and Georgia? I mean, we're going to see a Alabama Georgia type playoff game.
Well, you got to think Cincinnati's probably not going to beat Alabama. I think they can cover. Alabama's been in a lot of close games this year against teams that probably aren't as good as Cincinnati. So I think Cincinnati can cover. I don't think they could beat them, though. The other one, Jared, is a real toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan won. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Georgia won. If you had to, lock in a pick, I would definitely think Alabama, Georgia, round 2 would be the most likely outcome.
Yeah, even as an SEC guy, I'd kind of like to see Michigan win and kind of get it, because to change it up, obviously a team that's not normally in the playoffs, and to get in there, and obviously they have a really big fan base as well, to go up against Alabama. So I think that would make for a good national championship game. But no, I mean, you're right. I know I listened to some of the Dudes Who Bet Sports earlier today, and I mean, it's fun listening to you because especially with your dad, dude. Like he's so jacked up for this time of the year, but I have to say this, and I don't know if he's listening. I am disappointed in him because for someone that's so into it, and he was making excuses for having to take Sandy out and do things like this and having to miss games. And I was like, dude, man, I was a little surprised with how how whipped he was over this thing.
It's weak. It's really, really weak. I noticed when he was talking, I didn't say a word. I was just like, I'll be watching the games. I'm not in that situation. So
that's what I was like. That's why I know it's your dad, because if I was saying that, you'd be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, dude? Like, you're gonna watch these games, but your dad, you just stayed quiet." But I think we all were thinking that, like, dude,
yeah.
come on.
Well, you would have a legitimate excuse because when you have the two little monsters, it's like you don't really have a choice. But it's like, why? You got a choice there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
It's like, actually,
yeah.
you don't have to make her happy during bowl season. You actually you don't.
Or any season.
Yeah. To be clear, Halterman is happily married, so it just worked out that way for him. So, all right, let's get to some horse racing. Obviously, big weekend coming up. Of course, with the obviously it's going to be New Year's Day, and that brings 2-year-olds turning to 3-year-olds, and of course we are officially on the Derby Trail as these 3-year-olds start their paths hopefully to the Kentucky Derby, and we've got 3. We're going to talk about 4. We got 3 official Kentucky Derby preps happening all on the first. So I mean, shit just kicks off immediately, and of course with Oakland's schedule being different this year, you got the Smarty Jones. Already, it's amazing right now how maybe not the best horses running quite yet, but we are officially in Derby season. But before we get into that, we got to talk about last weekend, or at least last Sunday, day after Christmas, Malibu Day, the Malibu Stakes, the main event. Flightline, dude. I mean, I can count probably on one hand how many times I've watched any race ever my whole life since I've been watching, where I was like, you literally like as close to your mouth dropping to the floor. Like it was that good a performance. And then to see the number backed up by it and just how I think it was at a 118, which is the high buyer of the year. Just insane.
It was, and I had him singled and everything, and so anytime you have I know everybody can relate to this. Anytime you have a horse singled, I don't care how good they look, you're nervous. You're nervous. You're scared. You're like, oh, he's going too fast. He's going too slow. He'll never get there. Whatever. You always have negative thoughts. At least I do. And he turned for home there, and I thought, oh, he's went fast. I'll probably get him. And like a blink of an eye, almost, it's like, like we're getting ready to see something really special because this horse hasn't left first gear, and he's just dusting all these other horses. And it was, like I said, it just took your breath away, and you realized about mid stretch, it's like this is something we don't see very often, if ever. Just a dominant effort, just totally blew away those other horses. It's not like that was a terrible field either. Now, I know Dr. Scheibel didn't really run his race, so, you take that for what it is, right? His biggest challenger didn't run very well. At the same time, he just absolutely just dusted that field. Total domination. I'm so excited to see what he does next. So excited to see if he can do it going 2 turns. And, as much as we like Life is Good, Flightline looks to have a higher ceiling to me right now because that was freaky good.
Dude, and it's like Flightline just, throws his name in the hat too to be. We talked about all year how good this 3-year-old crop was or is, and obviously Life is Good kind of waited till towards. I mean, he was good early in the season, but he really showed how good he was the second half of the season. Of course, now Flightline, then you got Central Quality and Hot Rod Charlie, who don't even get me started, lost on Malibu Day. I don't somehow in the most impossible way. Still just ran like a good race, but it wasn't good because he got beat by Express Train. Either way, we had a good crop of 3-year-olds this year, and Flightline just added to that. This has to be one of the better 3-year-old crops we've ever seen.
I think so. I've seen people hating on it at times, and that's just kind of weird to me. Yeah, I think it is. And, a lot of people complaining, oh, we'll only see Flightline a few times, this or that. Well, I mean, just be thankful for when he runs. I mean, that's what we're in right now. That's kind of just the situation of horse racing, right? They just don't run all that often. So, but I think just be happy that he's around. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And look forward to a race like the Met Mile, which might have Life is Good versus Flightline in it, and again, two horses that were 3-year-olds this year, turning 4. that obviously just exceptional horses.
Yeah, some of the words that Sadler had mentioned after the race was kind of there's just talks of obviously the Met Mile being the short term or I guess midterm goal there. Saudi Cup might happen. So obviously this is a horse that's extremely well bred, $1 million horse from by Tappet out of an Indian Charlie Mare. I mean, this horse should go long, right? Very scary if this horse were to ever meet up with Life is Good, and that that might be the showdown of the century if those two horses ever meet up in a race going, a mile or longer. For obviously Life is Good is very, very good at that going long, at least seemingly it is. Dude. Okay, so now I have to ask you this, and this is John had presented this in his article, John White. And I thought about it right after the race, and I don't know where I would go, but it's fly. Yeah, and there you go, Steve. Thank you, Evil Stevel. He said, would you vote this horse as the champion male sprinter? Even though, okay, so the for argument is he's ran 3 times this year. He's dominated every single one of them. He's put up one of the highest, like cumulative buyer speed figures for the first 3 starts of a horse in history. Obviously, the high buyer of the year, just dominant. Dusted Dr. Scheibel, who nearly won the Breeders' Cup over Aloha West. He's dominant. He beat the shit out of horses that are kind of in the running, so to speak. So, do you think he is good enough to win that? Do you think would you vote for him? 1, 2, will he win it?
No and no would be my answer to that. I think it's a dangerous thing to set to give a horse an Eclipse Award off 3 races and only 1 stakes win. Do I think he would beat whoever ends up winning it? Yeah, I do. But that's not really the point of an Eclipse Award, right? You need to, it's a dangerous thing if we start doing this because those Eclipse Awards mean something in the breeding shed, right? So if you go, okay, all we have to do to win is have 3 dominant races, only one of them be a stakes race, and we get the Eclipse Award, all of a sudden you're magnifying that aspect of, hey, we don't have to run very often to do this. I think those campaigns need to be rewarded by the horses that have been here all year, like a Jackie's Warrior, Yeah, listen, I think Flatline would beat Jackie's Warrior, but that horse has earned the right to be called a champion of some sort of all those wins and all the dances that he's danced. So that's my take on it. I get the argument the other way. Hey, I'm going to vote for the most talented horse. Well, you're going to vote for him 3-year-old of the year as well, right? He's more talented than who's going to win 3-year-old of the year. So, I mean, if you're going to set that, are you going to vote him for horse of the year? I mean, he's probably the most talented horse in training, but he hasn't really earned an Eclipse Award.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. This game, it's unbelievable because they're airing it like they're trying to score, which is huge, would be so big for you right now.
They know the spread.
The coach has money on them. The last 2 passes, instead of like really trying to just get closer in field goal range, have been aired out like they're trying to win, like trying to score a touchdown. And they need yards now. It's 4th and 2.
They need 10 yards, and they would have an easy field goal.
It's unbelievable. No, I agree with you. It's hard. It's like if you're voting for who's the most talented, it's no question, right? Like if you're thinking like who would win head to head, Jackie, Aloha West, or Flightline, I think we would all agree based off what we just saw, it's Flightline. But to vote for him off 1 stakes. Now, to be fair, to counter that, he has the same great amount of grade 1 wins as Jackie's Warrior and Aloha West do. So he has the same amount of grade 1 wins. Now, he only ran a 1 grade 1, and those other horses, obviously multiple grade 2s and stuff for Jackie's Warrior. But the point is, he did win grade 1 and equaled exactly what those 2 have done as well. So I would understand why somebody voted for him, and he will get plenty of votes. Flightline, that is, but I don't think he will win. Personally, Jackie's Warrior. It's a shame Jackie didn't run better in the Breeders' Cup because he would have locked that up.
Yeah, that's for sure. There wouldn't be a debate if that was the case. He left the door open. I still think he's got a shot to win it, but he definitely left the door open. Not only did he not win, he got waxed. He didn't even show up to where, say he runs Dr. Scheibel's race and he gets second by a nose. Well, I still think he's a shoe-in, but to not show up at all is a problem. With Flightline, remember Arrogant, right? We never thought he would lose again. We thought this horse is just the beast of all beasts. What if Flightline loses his next start and we voted him champion sprinter and then he never wins again? Like, it can happen. Like, they can go wrong. And then it's like, wow, remember that time we voted Flightline number one? I mean, so it's a dangerous precedent to set if we do this.
It's like voting Hidden Scroll 3-year-old champion in February. It's like, well, turns out that was not. So yeah, I mean, you never know, and obviously there's something to be said about the body of work. Staying healthy for a year and running in all the big races and showing up, and like that says something, because if Flightline had ran all year, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't even been available in the Melbourne. Maybe he would have been hurt. Maybe he would, been whatever. There's 1,000 reasons that you could come up with. So I agree. That's why the precedent of voting a horse just based off that pure talent that we just saw is dicey. All right. So update. Looks like Tennessee's going to roll out the kicker here. Try for I believe it's going to be like, what is that? Like 55
probably
or so. Yeah. Looks like close to 55. I don't know. Yeah. Attempt after just the most awful clock management I've ever seen in my life. We'll give you the play-by-play here. It looks like Tennessee is 2 seconds left. They're gonna call timeout. All right, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. It's going to win the game if they make this. 2 seconds left. If not, it's huge for Halterman's bet because they will go to overtime. And college overtime is insane. So yeah, you can
still cover.
You can still cover if you get to overtime. So in the game, I don't know anything about this kicker, but I got to think this has got to be 55 for a kicker at Tennessee. He's got to be pushing the limits, right?
Yeah, and this field is an absolute mess. It's really slick. People have been falling all day. So for him to make a 56-yard field goal would be amazing. But it also means I would lose my bet, so I'm sure he will knock this right to the uprights.
Am I ahead of you?
Yeah, you're ahead of me.
All right, I'll give you the play-by-play here. All right, this guy, he's really lining it up here. He looks confident.
You know what? I bet it gets blocked and they run it all the way back for a touchdown. The way this game's gone.
That would be unbelievable. Or like the guy hanging out there by the field goal there, waiting for him to take it deep.
6, yeah.
His career long is 52 yards. So he's going to go for a new career record here.
Yeah, 4 more yards.
Yeah, I don't know. This is taking forever. Do you think Flightline is like? I mean, it's being trained by Sadler. Like, do you think this horse has the ability? I mean, he's $1 million horse. Obviously, there's lots to like. Do you think he's like? Do you think he's a real deal?
Oh yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen, I don't know how you could say no. I don't like him that well. By the way, it's really funny that the people on Twitter that were saying, "Oh, I don't believe in him, don't bet him." They're the same ones saying, "I wasn't that impressed."
Yeah.
I've finally learned that when a guy says, "I'm not impressed with horse X," it basically just means
they didn't have it a couple times. They didn't have him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I used to take some people, and I'm talking about people in racing do this as well. I used to take their opinions and be like, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why you didn't like him." It's just because he didn't bet him. I mean, that's all there really is to that. So yeah, I mean, he's very impressive. I don't know how you can say he's not the real deal after this. I mean, to 3 races and already be running like this it's really historic, really, when you look at other great horses and what they did in their first 3 starts. So
all right, the snap is approaching. He's set. Here comes the snap. The kick is up. It's wide right and short. It's we're going to overtime, baby. Never was it close, by the way. McGrath, sorry, buddy. No, it reminds me of the guys like when we were like kind of first starting at Oaklawn, and of course back then, of course, no different. Baffert still dominates, but like when Baffert would bring any horse in, horse A, B, C, D, and dominate, and every single time we would talk to some of the guys we knew there, like at Oaklawn, the like locals stuff, and they would try to beat them and try to, oh, this horse is going to get him better, get better at going them out. It's like, dude. Like we were even young in the game, and you're like, he's gonna win, and it's kind of like it's like the guys like they hated Baffert so much that it didn't matter who it was. It could have literally been American Pharaoh.
It was
like, no, exactly, and I was like, no, I think whatever his name was, Far Right or whatever, is gonna beat this guy going longer. It's like okay.
Yeah, the night before the Arkansas Derby, all I heard was, oh, Moquette, Far Right. I'm like, guys, give me a fucking break right now. Like that horse, if Pharaoh has to go around twice and Far Right once, maybe Far Right can win, but he's not in the same strategy. He's like, Moquette told me this horse is running fantastic and working out. I said, like watch the races. Like,
yeah,
Pharaoh's gonna have to fall down to lose to that horse. So, yeah, you're right. It does kind of remind me of that, and it's just my advice is just search those guys out on Twitter when they see comments like, oh, I don't think Flightline was very good yesterday. And then just go back a day and almost all of them have been like, I'm against Flightline today. I think he's up against it. I think this is too much of a class hike, which whatever, if that's your opinion before the race, we've all had bad opinions before the race, but don't be an idiot after the race just because you're pissed off. That's my, give me a break.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of money in this game if you get your pride in the way of a bad bet or whatever, because it's like, well, he's like, hey, I was wrong. That horse is really good.
Well, and these guys will chase and try to beat, and these horses like Flightline will win like 12 in a row, and they'll lose every damn time. And then one time they'll beat them, and they'll be on Twitter. I told you that horse wasn't very good. It's like, well, what about the other 12 times when you probably lost hundreds of dollars trying to beat him?
Yeah.
Did you make up half of that, a quarter of that when you beat him with that 3-1 shot? Probably not.
No, you still aren't even,
No.
But no, everyone knows that you beat him with Keen Ice or whatever, some bullshit, like you did with Pharaoh in the Haskell. But anyways, or not the Haskell, the Travers. Anyways, all right, let's get to some Derby preps. How about that? Today's show, we're going to kick off the 2022 year with Kentucky Derby prep picks running New Year's Day, the $250,000 Smarty Jones Stakes at Oaklawn Park, the $150K Jerome Stakes at Aqueduct, the $100K Sham Stakes, the Grade 3 at Santa Anita, as well as the unofficial Derby prep, the $150K Mucho Macho Man at Gulfstream Park. Let's go! All right, overtime has happened, so this ought to be fun. Oh, geez, you poor guy.
Just score and stop them and win by 6, please.
I mean, honestly, anything could happen at this point. It feels like so.
Yes.
I don't really love your chances.
No
matter what.
No.
And you have to add that Halsman's got there's confidence rating, so he's got if not only if he loses this is a loss, it's a lot of points lost because you had high confidence in Tennessee covering.
Yep. The betting pool is in big trouble if they lose. And my personal wager obviously is in big trouble. So yeah, I bet him at -4.5, and then I've got the confidence pool or the betting pool is -3.5. So big problems for me at the moment.
You'll get over it. It'll be all right. You got this. All right, let's do some handicapping while we watch this game. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, Saturday, New Year's Day. Of course, tons of football going on, tons of horse racing going on, and 2-year-olds turning to 3-year-olds. And of course, that means the Kentucky Derby Trail is officially on its way for these 3-year-olds. And with Oaklawn, we got four races to talk about. 3 are official Kentucky Derby prep races, 10-4, 2-1 for all of those races. But Oaklawn, with their schedule being different this year, we'll kick things off there with the Smarty Jones Stakes. Of course, January 1st, Oaklawn Park. You never see that. But here we are, race 9 on Saturday. Again, January 1st. So it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold here. Sit your ass inside and bet some of these horses. I mean, maybe not the best field, so to speak, but you're going to have, I mean, they're Derby preps. These are horses you need to pay attention to, at least one in every race that you need to know moving forward. So it gives you something to watch. So we will talk about race 9 at Oaklawn Park to kick things off. The Smarty Jones Stakes. It's 250K for 3-year-olds going 1 mile. Of course, that iconic 1 mile distance at Oaklawn, which sometimes can help a horse that maybe isn't built to go 2 turns, get 2 turns at Oaklawn Park, as you and I have seen many, many times before. So, Haltern, this is definitely the deepest field of the 4 we're going to talk about. 14 horses. Yeah, 5 in the Sham. We'll talk about that in a second. 14 horses here of 3-year-olds, newly turned 3-year-olds. So where are you going?
Yeah, a lot of good points there. And the short stretch of the mile run at Oaklawn Park is a big factor. You want to be on the lead, near the lead, no more than 3 or 4 lengths off the lead at the most to win at these short stretch races at Oaklawn. So that's the first thing you got to think of when handicapping. The problem with this is there's 14 damn horses and they all look a lot alike. So this is one where I couldn't tell you, I have a real good feeling about any of them. Anytime you put 14 horses in the gate this time of year, it can get a little bit wild. It's kind of cool. They've drawn 14, usually this race will get 6 or 7. So the moving of the race, definitely good. All right, quit talking and tell you who I'm going to pick here. I hate to say like it depends, but I really like the 2 and the 3, All in Sync, and the 3 Homebrew. All in Sync is 8-1 on the morning line. If that sticks, if he's close to that, I want him. If he gets bet, and I think he's going to, and maybe Homebrew floats up to that 4-1 price, I want him. So as of right now, based on the odds we have for the morning line, give me All in Sync at that 8-1 price. I really like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought, which by the way, this scramble for a first down there, just doing everything they can for you right now. No, I'm with you. Like, I could not believe this horse is sitting there at 8-1. I mean, again, it's going to really depend, because I think Homebrew at 3-1 is way too low, but I do like that horse, especially. We got to think being on the lead. I love the 2 and the 3 here, just because I do think they'll both be somewhat forwardly placed. And like you said, you need to be very close here. Obviously, the 3 last time out at Oaklawn Park looked very, very good, going the same distance, so that you have that going for you, Brad Cox. I mean, we know what that's about. Then, like I say, Steve Asmussen, All in Sync. I mean, this horse, debuted, looked pretty good, then came back to win really impressively with Rosario board. Get Santana back. I'm with you. I mean, if you get anywhere in the ballpark of 8-1, this horse will be close to the pace. I think you got the 2 and the 3, and I just in a very large field, I don't know. Like, I don't love much in here. I kind of like Ben Diesel all the way outside, but I don't like all the way to the outside. That's enough for me to not to play that. Plus 5-1, I would need more. So it's really it's going to be very interesting as the bets come in here. So I do feel like some of these morning line odds are going to really fluctuate.
And to be fair, we're usually hard on the morning line maker at Oaklawn, and for good reason. But this one, it's really tough to set a line. Like you talked about Ben Diesel. I'm with you. I kind of like that horse, but all the way to the outside, that's tough. And then you got Cavid, the 4, who's ran a ton of races, but's coming off a stakes win at Oaklawn. But it was a sprint. Now it's back to a mile. 5-1. I'm not real sure what to make of him. This is just really, really tough. But again, I'm not going to be surprised if Homebrew's like 5-1. And if he is, kind of got to think about taking him, especially if it's All in Sync that's taking a little bit of the money. But I think you got to lean Cox Asmussen here. Both these horses looked really good last time out. And like I said, if somehow we can get that All in Sync horse, the 2 at 8-1, I think you just got to roll with it here and take a shot. You're going to probably, this is the type of race, no matter who you like, you're probably going to get the price you want, right? I mean, the favorite will be 3-1, 7-2 in this race.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, Oh my gosh. Are you watching this? I don't know where you're at on this, but
Yeah.
it's not good.
No.
It's not good. I believe they just turned it over, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't get in. You don't often see them not score in overtime. Like not
No, you don't.
just
First and goal from the 2 also and didn't score.
didn't score. Uh ooh. Ooh.
We're reviewing it.
I think this might be this. I don't know. Like, unless they're gonna, I don't know. I mean, I gotta mute it, so I can't unless they blew a whistle. But he does not. He's not down, and he crosses the ball across the line there. So
He scored as long as the whistle didn't blow. No question about it.
yep. But if they did blow the whistle, because the guy comes rolling in there and calls him down at the 1, but his knees are never down, his arms are never down. That's a touchdown.
Yep. And the whistle should not have blown if it did, because his forward progress was not stopped. So
There we go. You know what? If that's you are living right. If this guy gets in,
living right. Are you kidding me? They've dropped 3 pick sixes in this game. I mean, this game should be over a long time ago.
You've lost about 3 years off your life.
Yeah,
watching this thing.
Living right.
I don't know how they got to be reviewing this. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so what do you? We'll do this with each one of these. You and I are both on the 2, depending on odds. We both like the 3 as well. So 2 or 3. What is it moving forward for you? I mean, Smarty Jones, maybe not necessarily the most productive race when it comes to the Derby Trail. Obviously, we've seen horses like Great Attempt win this thing that obviously can't go long. So you kind of wonder sometimes, but the 2 and the 3 do look like they could be bred to go somewhat longer, especially homebrew. So what are your thoughts on anything moving forward out of this?
Well, there's 14 of them, right? So you got a bigger chance that a couple of them might be decent. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Out of all the other ones, I think I've got a pretty good idea. But out of all of them, this one, it's just like I could see these horses being mules, all of them, or I could see 1 or 2 coming out. There's a lot of unknown, a lot of horses that they've just they broke their maiden, and it's like, yeah, they might be okay, or they may just show up and run like shit. So it's tough. Last week I really thought Epicenter or Rocket Dog 1 would jump up, and we got one. Epicenter did. This race here, I don't know. I don't think there's like an Epicenter type performance here. I think you're going to see a solid win by somebody, but I don't think you're going to see a top 10 Derby contender out of this race.
No, I don't either. But obviously it kicks things off for Oaklawn. So you and I are both on the 2 at 8-1, all in sync. But make sure you stay tuned to those prices, and of course, see what the 3 homebrew goes off as well. Dude, they didn't give it to him.
Yeah, my phone's blowing up. He's like, Tennessee just got screwed. I'm like, yeah, they totally did.
Wow, that's not good. That I thought for sure they're going to give that to him.
Oh well, the dream is dead, Jared. The dream is dead.
It's never dead. They could turn the ball over here.
It's dead.
Oh. How's the Purdue kicker been tonight?
It's dead.
All right. Let's go to Aqueduct on Saturday. Of course, race 8, the Jerome Stakes. $150K for 3-year-olds. Go another 1 mile race. 10-4-2-1 again for your top 4 finishers, of course, towards the Kentucky Derby Trail. Halterman, this one might be, we're going the right direction here. Field of 8, a little bit easier to at least narrow it down, but this one to me is at least you had someone to kind of hang on. I kind of like this race. I mean, it's hard, right? Who do you like? Cook Creek? I don't know.
I actually really like a horse in here, believe it or not.
Okay.
I think now listen, I don't think he's like a barn or like tearing down the barn, getting ready to show us something crazy. I think he's going to be decent, and that's the number 6, Courvoisier. I like this horse. Jose Ortiz jumps aboard for Kelly Breen. the horse broke the maiden finally. I'd almost like it better at 1.1 miles than a mile, but I think he's going to be okay at a mile. The breeding is top notch. This horse is out of Take Charge Brandy, a horse obviously near and dear to our hearts, and Tappet as the sire. So great breeding. Never really has ran a poor race. Just kind of been average, but I really think the horse is improving with each start. Like I said, I love Jose Ortiz getting aboard here. I think that's a sign that he's riding on this horse. I love the 5-1. I think Courvoisier could be a pretty decent horse that comes out of this race, and I think he's going to win this one. And hopefully, we get that price at 5-1.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, I was curious on what happened here. Like, do you think? Because with Dylan Davis jumps, he's over on the 2 now, and of course he rode the 2 Unbridled Bomber the last 2 times. So I wondered, well, maybe that's where he just stayed put, and that's how they ended up. Sorry, dude.
It's all right.
Made the field goal.
Yeah.
Tennessee got screwed though. Give him that.
Yeah.
All right. So Tennessee lost. But yeah, with Dylan Davis riding this horse, do you think he opted to ride the 2 over Courvoisier?
I mean, Jose Ortiz versus Dylan Davis. I would think no. I would think he got pushed off because they wanted Ortiz aboard. That's my guess. That's my guess on it.
Maybe it just worked out that way. Considering it
could have been that too.
Oddly enough, that he had a horse already in the race, because I would have stayed on the 6 as well. So maybe, yeah, but Jose jumping aboard definitely is like, oh, that piqued my interest. Yeah, I think obviously it's interesting that the horse runs so well, finally breaks his maiden going 1.1 miles, and then here we are going a mile. So I definitely think longer the better for him. I think he's a play. I definitely like his price better than I do the 1, but I like the 1 Cook Creek just enough, I think, where I'm going to, because I do think this race is going to be fairly quick. And so I kind of like the idea, especially, I like the 8 a lot too. And for good reason, because I think this horse is going to go. But I think there's a couple others in here that are going to make this thing go. So I like the 1 a little bit, and this is going to also dictate how I feel about Rockefeller later in the day, right? Because this is a horse that got second to Rockefeller in the Nashua. This horse really ran a good race that day, just got beat by a better horse, but was undefeated going into that race. Has won at a mile. I think he is a worthy 5-2. I don't want to play him much lower, but I like him. He's making the right progressions. I also like the 2 a little bit too, but I like the 1 on top.
So here's why I didn't put Cook Creek on top. I agree. I think he's a player. I don't like him at the price. And if you look at the Nashua, the horses that have run back out of that race have all struggled. Judge Davis was not good. Midnight Worker was 3rd next out in an allowance on the turf. Karama for Asmussen was 3rd. Next out. Speaking was 2nd at Parks. That's why I'm against Cook Creek at the price. I don't know what came out of that race. I'm not sure if those horses were very good. But I do like the horse at the distance. I think the mile really makes him a player. I would probably put him 2nd here. That also kind of tells you what I think of the rest of this field. I don't think there's much. But I'd take a little bit of a shot against, because that Nashua has not come back very strong.
I gotta think that we're gonna find out a lot about that race, because you got the top two finishers running on the same day, with Rockefeller running in the Sham for Bob Baffert, and of course Cook Creek there. But I think the 5 and the 6, and then obviously the 8 are gonna be quick, and I like the way it sets up. I don't know if the 2's good enough, but the 2 is interesting to me at a price in this race. Do you like anyone else in this race at a price?
Yeah, I thought the 2, like you said, was pretty interesting. And again, another horse coming from off the pace. The horse Hagler, the 8, last time out, this horse was 1-5. And it looked like the horse should be 1-20 on paper. Like he was just like a big standout. And he won, but it was kind of a race you look back on and you're like, that wasn't very good. Now we wheel back in 16 days. I'm a little afraid that this horse might be cheap speed in this spot. I think it's a much tougher race, obviously, and stretching out a little bit further in distance. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm kind of with you to be like, yeah, he's going to go, but I don't know if he'll stick. So, yeah, I think a horse like the 2 makes a lot of sense at 8-1. What about 035 at the 3 horse trying dirt for the first time? This horse has pretty good form on the turf. So if he takes to the surface, maybe he's one to look at. I don't like 7-2 on a horse like that, though. So we'll have to see if the odds kind of bounce up for him.
Yeah, I liked him. I gave him quite a bit of thought. I'm with think exactly the same way, like 7-2, no thanks. But George Weaver is very good on the turf to dirt angle. 32% turf to dirt. I mean, that's a solid percentage when you're switching. Obviously, Union Rag's going to be good on the dirt. Should be good on the dirt. So you got to think this horse is going to be equipped for it. And of course, this horse broke his maiden, and then they put this horse in a couple smaller level stakes at Belmont and Aqueduct going longer. So I mean, they're making the most well, it's first of the year. We're gonna see if this horse is like a lot of these guys do, where they let's see if this is a Derby type horse. But the horse ran on some good turf races. At Saratoga, he got beat by Annapolis, and obviously was a very good horse for Pletcher there, but it wasn't beaten terribly. It's I think this horse is decent and to switch here. So yeah, if the horse switches, all right, could be dangerous, but I would need a lot better than 7-2 in order to play him here. I like the 2 a lot better in terms of price. Got the 1 on top. Halterman, I'll ask you the same question. I'll keep doing this. Like, is the 6 your only horse in here where you're like, if he wins, obviously, because you think he will, he is someone you want to circle in terms of down the trail any way at all?
Just because I think he has the most upside and I know he can go longer, I think he's kind of the one to watch out of here. And if he loses, obviously that's a big strike against, because I just don't think the rest of these are going to make much of an impact on the trail. So I would be shocked if anybody besides the 6 jumps up and really looks impressive. And the 6, I just think it's a progression thing. If he can just kind of progress, keep getting better, be around in these races, maybe he can kind of sneak in the back door of the Derby. But he's got to look good here, and he's going to have to take the next step up in this race.
All right, so Halterman has a 6 on top at 5-1. I've got the 1 Cook Creek at 5-2.
All right, where are we going next?
I did not like that race at all. Not that. We're going to the Sham.
Okay.
Maybe. There. All right. Let's go to Santa Anita on Saturday. The Sham Stakes Grade 3, the only graded stakes race of the Derby preps on Saturday. $100K for 3-year-olds going 1 mile, another mile race. Field of 5 lines up for this one. So Halterman, the field sizes keep getting lower and lower. 10-4-2-1 for your top 4 finishers. 5 in the race. 2 of them are Baffert. So only 3 horses. Only 3 horses can actually get points, quote unquote, get points as of now in this race, which is okay. And Baffert has 2 of the top 2 choices: 8-5 on Rockefeller, 2-1 on Newgrange. It's really, other than 5, a degree of risk, they're all right there in terms of odds go. So Baffert, if he goes 1-2, you're talking about just 0 points for the guy. Anyways, so Rockefeller is the horse. We just talked about him a little bit ago. Of course, won the Nashua, kind of the more quote unquote established horse for Baffert, whereas you have Newgrange horse that I eyed in the fantasy draft. A lot of people did. This horse, I believe, went in the second round. Looked really good on debut. 2-1 debuts in a stakes race. So I guess the question is, which Baffert did you like most?
Well, yeah, I think you laid it out pretty well. That Rockefeller is the more established horse for sure, and maybe that makes a difference in this race. But like I mentioned when we talked about the Jerome, the Nashua Stakes did not come back very strong. Those horses that ran in there and got beat have not come back to run very well. So I am going to put Newgrange on top of Rockefeller in this race. I just think I'm skeptical what Rockefeller beat there in the Nashua. So I'm going to go with Newgrange on top. I know it's just one race, but the horse looked pretty professional doing it at Del Mar. I think the horse gets the lead. I think he's the one they're going to have to run down. I don't think Rockefeller will be too far behind. It's probably going to be a situation where these two horses turn for home, and it's just going to be who can outkick who. They worked together in their last work. Newgrange just barely edges Rockefeller in that, but not that really means anything. But so they've been working together. I think they'll run together down the stretch. It's hard to separate them. I mean, they're very, very close, but I'll just play the I'm against the Nashua horses angle and take Newgrange here.
Yeah, it definitely feels like whereas Rockefeller did get the lead in the Nashua, I don't feel like that's going to happen here, because I do believe Newgrange is kind of going to be his quote unquote target for Rockefeller. So it definitely feels like those two are going to go out. Those are going to be, it's going to basically going to be a question of, one, how good is Newgrange, and two, how good is Rockefeller. So you're really just going to have to figure that out when they turn for home. I love the fact that, and I get that Velasquez rode Newgrange, but I just love the fact that Pratt is back aboard Rockefeller. I mean, especially considering he rode this horse in the American Pharoah, finished fourth. Of course, the horse's only loss, no really fault to that, because he got beat by Corniche, who obviously went number one in our fantasy draft and, of course, won the Breeders' Cup. So pretty good horse. I like the fact that Rockefeller gets Pratt back. I mean, this is I just can't quite shake him. I know that he maybe the Nashua didn't come back the strongest in terms of kind of who's came in out of that race, but he got an 83 buyer for that race, and still, I mean, even if that race underneath him was not very good, maybe he still is pretty dang good. He definitely has he feels like he should go long, right? I mean, to me, he should go long. He's obviously a huge purchase price. Kind of has all the makings of being one of those Baffert horses. We'll see if he's good enough. So does the 3, frankly. Kind of have the same connections there as well. I don't know. To me, I edge towards the Rockefeller just based off of experience and just kind of what it feels like is going to be the horse. Like the 3 is kind of his first try. 3 is going to have a target on his back. The 4 is going to try to run him down. So I'm going to go the 4 here. But it goes either way. I don't like. I get. All right, so I'll ask you this. I go 4, you go 3. If we're not talking Baffert, where are you going outside of that? Because to me, Oviatt class is interesting, but this is a horse who looked really good, broke his maiden, went straight to the American Pharoah, did beat, I should say, Rockefeller that day. Then came and ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, finished 5th. Wasn't like awful, but it wasn't great either. So, is this like get some class relief, gets reduced distance? Like, do you like the 2? Do you like the 1 better? If you're not going to play Baffert here, do you like anyone else?
I don't see a world where the 2 is going to beat both the Bafferts. I just don't. So if you're going to play against them, I would go number 1, McKinnon. So we've seen a Doug O'Neill horse beat a Baffert horse, in the Los Alamitos Futurity. And you got McKinnon here. And listen, this horse is, has one dirt race. It was debut. And I don't really hold that against him. It was just whatever. Then they moved him to the turf, and he's been really, really good. He's ran with some really good horses. He was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile behind a really nice horse, Modern Games. Maybe we shouldn't bring him up. And I mean, if he takes to the dirt, he's as good as these Baffert horses, if not better. He's got more built up class. Will he take to it is a big question. I don't know. So, but if he does, I think he's got a shot here. So I would take him over the Bafferts if you're going to play against them.
Yeah, very well bred horse, American Pharoah. Sire, of course, a Scat Daddy mare. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like here. Again, I mean, whatever you want to say about it, Modern Games, won that race fair and square, but he did. I mean, he ran well. I mean, he really did. He ran a good third that day, and of course, no one gave a shit at that time because you didn't care what happened there because everyone was so pissed. But yeah, he's interesting. I think I would take him over the 2 horse as well, just because I kind of feel like he's more unknown, whereas the 2 is not. All right, so this one seems a little bit more likely in terms of what could come out of it and what that might mean moving forward. Obviously, let's just forget we're trying to pick winners here, so let's forget the fact that Baffert is not right now is not eligible to get points. But what horse do you like out of this? Is it either? I mean, is it simple? Is it like, well, whoever wins out of whatever Baffert wins, that's who I like?
Yeah, I think Rockefeller is the type that he might have a little bit of a ceiling. I don't think this horse is like going to be a world beater, but I mean, he could definitely be here and hit the board in all these kind of races and win one at here at Santa Anita, maybe even this one. I think New Grange is the one that we don't really know his ceiling yet, right? So I think he's the one I'm looking for to maybe jump up, but you never know. Rockefeller could make that jump as well. It's got to be one of the 2 Bafferts, and then McKinnon, his pedigree is really 50-50, right? Like, obviously the turf made sense, but American Pharoah out of a Scat Daddy mare, it talks about, or it definitely leans towards turf, but it's not a lock. So if he takes to the surface, he could definitely be one to watch too. And kind of like always, the fields are short at Santa Anita, but I think it has the most, ability or it could project to have a couple of pretty good horses come out of it.
This is a very interesting race because while the other ones you don't necessarily take a lot of stock to in terms of the Derby Trail, the Sham is not that way necessarily. You look back at some of these horses, especially the ones that Bob Baffert has brought into this race. Obviously, Life is Good last year. Authentic the year before. McKenzie, the year, 3 years, I should say 4 years ago. Of course, Gunmetal Gray won 3 years back. What's interesting about that, in the last 2 years, Life is Good came into that race, Medina Spirit as well. Life is Good was the favorite, Medina Spirit was the second. Authentic was the favorite, Azul Coast was in the race as well. So it kind of seems like this race, at least recently, is kind of tipped its hand in terms of, like you're saying, like this is the Baffert horse that's a little bit better than the other Baffert horse. Not to say, I mean, look, Medina Spirit lost the race, and look, it was a very good horse. So it's not to say that they have no shot. It just means it kind of feels like it's going to separate. It's a little bit of a separator race for the Bafferts and the Bafferts barns. Bree says Brat will help Rockefeller. I agree. I mean, I think. I mean, anytime I'm so biased to Flavian, it's like anytime he's on a horse, I feel like it's gonna move the horse up. To me, the bigger thing out of that was just the fact that Pratt rode this horse last time when he rode the horse in the American Pharoah and obviously didn't win, didn't run extremely well, and he's back. So to me, that's enough to be like, all right, like he still likes him. They like him. Like this horse obviously kind of rebounded in the Nashville. So I think it's a very big pivotal point for Rockefeller. Obviously, like you said, with the 3 New Grange, we're going to find out. But we're on the Bafferts here. No shock in the Sham.
One thing about it, and I agree with you guys on the Pratt point. The problem is Johnny V's on the other one.
Yeah.
Like usually it's like Pratt's on one and Abel Cedillo's on one. Okay. It's pretty obvious which one is the better one, but it's like Johnny V and Baffert hook up and win some big races. So,
and Johnny V rode New Grange the debut. So like he's that you could use that as the exact same indicator of, well, he's staying put. He really likes that horse. So yeah, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, really. I really think I think Rockefeller is what he is. Newgrange could be a couple different things. So I definitely see that angle, but I think you have to, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Rockefeller ran him down. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
By any means. Like, I think that's what's going to happen, but I think it is close. And I definitely think I like whoever you like. I think just pounding it, pounding that exacta cold. If you like Newgrange, pound the him over Rockefeller and vice versa, because I just think those two are going to outclass this fight, and we've seen it the last 2 years.
No matter who you like, I think you got to play it cold unless it's two long shots, So
yeah,
even if you want to take a shot with McKinnon, play him over one horse or play one horse over him. But yeah, I mean, this is not one where you want to be boxing your bets.
No. All right, let's wrap things up here with at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. This is not an official Derby prep, but it is a prep that we've seen over the years of horses run. Of course, kick things off at Gulfstream Park, and of course towards the the route towards the Florida Derby. So we're going to include this because there will be some 3-year-olds in here you need to know. Mucho Macho Man Stakes race 10 150K for 3-year-olds going to 1 mile. Big shock. Mile races on Saturday, Halterman, for 3-year-olds. Field of 6 lined up here. 5-2 on the 6 horse graphic detail. 2-1 on Strike Hard. Those two seem logical win contenders here. Simplification for Sano, and then 7-2 on Skippy Longstocking, the 5 horse. But to me, I was kind of deciding between the 2 and the 6 when I was making my pick. Where'd you go?
Is this race not just the worst? Like, usually you see a decent horse out of this. This is horrifically bad. I was just like, wow, this is bad. Yeah, it's another battle of a horse that's kind of established, ran a little bit more with Strike Hard. First, a horse that has 1 star, graphic detail. I went graphic detail. Mott, not known to really have them cranked up for their debuts, yet graphic detail still wins the race. It looked pretty good doing it, and should get better second out. They usually do. So if you see that kind of progression for Mott, I think graphic detail is just a little bit better than everybody else in here. Also gets Luis Saez aboard. You can't go wrong there. So, and then, finally, kind of circling back to what I said, God, for your first stakes race, I don't think you can find a much easier spot. And this is bad.
Yeah, it's not good. There's no points for this one, is there? In our league?
No points for this one.
Good, because I mean, it's shitty. It really is. I mean, to me, I'm with you. I just by default really went with the 6 because it's like, well, if I'm playing somebody that's not the 6, I mean, at least the 6 is unknown enough to where it's like, well, like you say, he wins on debut. Now you get Saez. Obviously, a well-bred horse, big purchase. Good ownership. I mean, there's a lot to like in terms of the connections. Draws outside of the speed, which I like. I think this horse is going to be able to sit a nice trip off of the 4, off of maybe the 3 moving forward a little bit, the 2 even. I just think these horses are not very good. I kind of think the 6 wins this thing somewhat easily.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I think there'll be some high if he wins, like I think he's going to win. I think there will be a little hype with him, just based off of the connections, based off the breeding, based off of who owns the horse and things like that. So I think there will be some hype, and especially going into that Derby trail there at Gulfstream Park. But I don't necessarily feel like I'm not going to be claiming the horse.
No, it's not good. This race is really not good. Maybe he'll just explode, and it's like, wow, this horse is really good. But your question of what do you see coming out of this? Nothing. I don't like these horses at all.
You mean we won't be sitting here in May saying, "Hey, remember that horse when he won the Mucho Macho Man?" It's not like that.
I kind of hope they're all still alive by May. I mean, it's I don't know. Like Magic and I did the preview for this, and right when the card came out, we're like, okay, let's look this over. And I'm like, and mind you guys, I watch these races every day. I haven't missed a Gulfstream race or an Aqueduct race where most of these horses come out of in forever. I had to look them up. I'm like, I don't know that I remember these horses. Like, I've never heard of them. Of course, I've seen them run, but it's just like, I knew the 6, I knew the 2. The rest of them was like, I don't know that I know who these horses are.
What do you think of the 2? This is a horse that obviously was not it's not drafted, but the horse that he got beat by 2 back, Wide Barrio, was, and it wasn't like a terrible effort, and of course came back off of that to win. So you could make a case that this horse comes in here and does good enough to win.
Yeah, I like the 2 a little bit. I think he definitely has some talent. Not a trainer that you associate with the Derby Trail, so read that what you will. That doesn't necessarily mean the horse is going to be awful, but that's a challenge. I don't know. I don't know what he beat in that race last time out. He did look okay, but I don't know what was behind him really. I don't know. It just, if he wins, I think it's kind of a, okay, yeah, he probably was meant for that type of race, but I don't see him like projecting as like a contender going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see any of these as being contenders. I do like the 2 and the 6 on top here in this race. I like the 6 to edge out, just because I think there's just not a lot to like about any of them. So, but I don't necessarily like any of these. I would say that the odds that, well, I won't go that dark, but to say they're alive. But I would say that most of these horses will be running in claiming races by the time the actual Derby is here.
It seems that way.
Also, there might be one that's dead. He said it first. I didn't say it. He said it first. I'm disagreeing. But you and I are both on number 6, Graphic Detail. All right.
Last pot of 2021.
Boy, it's been a year.
It has.
All right.
That's all that we have to racing anymore, right?
Dude, it's like I don't even. Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're just kind of, at this point, you're just holding your breath.
Yeah, please don't do anything stupid today, industry. Okay.
Yeah.
We survived.
What's the news today? Okay.
Let's do it 2 days in a row. What do you say?
Is the FBI involved yet? No? Okay, we're good.
Yeah. I heard a rumor the FBI is involved investigating a trainer currently.
The Bob Baffert trainer?
No. No.
Who is it?
One that recently disappeared and said, I'm going to take a break.
Oh, Peter Miller, yeah.
That's just a rumor. That's nothing official, but I've heard that.
It is kind of funny that he just said he's going to take a break.
Right.
And just kind of, just go on vacation. Just out of nowhere, his horses all of a sudden started running like absolute dog shit. Look at the Breeders' Cup. The Breeders' Cup was just, Mo Forza still running. And that horse was so bad that day. And every horse he had was awful.
Yep.
And then he conveniently is, put on a nice little vacation. So yep. I hope he does. I hope they are. Hope
Supposedly.
he goes, not going to, we'll see. All right. That's all the time we have. Check us out at racenews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing News Premium button at the menu at racenews.com to learn more. Remember, racenews.com is the destination site for all horse racing picks and sports picks. Make sure you go check out the sports site right now, racingnews.com/sports, to get all your bowl selections. Of course, NFL, as well as we're gearing up towards the NFL playoffs. The Chiefs locked up the West, and hopefully can lock up the 1 seed this week with a little bit of luck. Got a good game this weekend with Cincinnati. Check us out on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. Listen to all our episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page at racenews.com. Of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Captivate, where you can watch all our episodes live or after the fact on our YouTube page. Just look for Racing Dudes on our YouTube. Find not just us, go to Magic Mike. You got tons of previews, all video content. If you're into videos, which who isn't, go to our YouTube page and just search Racing Dudes, whatever it is, and you can get previews for all of those as well. Go check out the Magic Mike Show on all those same platforms. They did the Gulfstream Saturday late pick 4, so go check out that for some more handicapping information as well. Halterman, this is the you said it earlier. This is the final pod of 20. What is the year? 2021. So we're going into 2022. Any final thoughts on 2021 and any resolutions for 2022?
Oh boy. 2021 as far as horse racing goes. Let's see. We had a disqualification in the Kentucky Derby. That wasn't good. Then that horse died. That wasn't good. Our number 1 trainer can't run in the Kentucky Derby and is banned from Churchill Downs and was banned from Naira. Yeah, 2021 wasn't a banner year for horse racing. So let's do this. 2022, let's try to, for the first time in a while, let's try to have a clean winner of the Kentucky Derby. That's my New Year's resolution for horse racing. Let's remember 2019, Maximum Security won, who was obviously drugged up, but then got disqualified. So I guess justice was served, right? 2020, Bob Baffert steals a Kentucky Derby from a guy that will never have a horse like that again. I think Barkley Tagg is 97 years old, and Bob Baffert stole the Kentucky Derby from him with a juiced up horse. And then he actually got caught this year. So it hasn't been a good streak of 3. Oh, Justify won in 2018, and he shouldn't have qualified for the race. So that's 4 in a row. Getting a little depressed as I think back on this. So the goal for 2022, let's have a clean Kentucky Derby winner.
Run, you little bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Baffert could not agree more with you. Let's have a clean one, which you're gonna have to be digging through the list a little bit if you're gonna try to find a clean one, especially with the horses. It seems like that where they land these days and which trainers they land with. But no, yeah, as you look back, it is rather depressing. It's funny, especially when you add in everything that's happened with in our world with COVID and the way it's our lives have changed in that regard. It's like, as we entered 2020, you had hopeful thoughts, because obviously COVID wasn't a big thing yet, and you wish for your regular things or whatever and resolutions, and then 2020 happened. Then you get to 2021, you're like, all right, it's over. 2020 is done. That was the shittiest year of our life. Like COVID, like we're getting past this. Like it's not 2021. That's the new year. That's for me. And now here we are, and you're just basically just holding your breath. You're just like, I'm not gonna say anything. I don't think that anything's gonna, I could say anything. So, COVID seems to be as rampant as ever. And here we are 2 years later, really, frankly, which is insane to think about. So at this point, I think my resolution would just just try to like freaking, get back to some sort of normal. That's what I would like. That's what I would try to do. Because my life personally, and of course our industry and the world is just, for the last several years, it's just been upside down. And frankly, it'd be nice to just get back to some sort of normalcy.
How about this? Let's set the bar low this year. Let's not get our hopes up. Let's go into this and think, well, it's probably gonna be shit like the last 2 years have been, and then maybe we'll get surprised when it's better.
Exactly. So let's just hope for. And maybe we should start let's hope the Pegasus is solid.
Okay.
Like I think just something very we only have a month to fuck that up, right? And so surely we can't fuck it up that fast, right?
I don't know. We could. See, that's a problem. We got Life is Good versus Knicks Go. It's like a high, right? So the only way it's really like an easy way to screw up the Pegasus. One of them drops out of the race, right?
Right. That's
then all of a sudden the Pegasus is going to be a disappointment for a lot of people.
I do think if there is, I don't know if it's going to happen, but there are things that could come positive out of all this if they chose the right way to do it, right? Like with horse racing and Bob Baffert and there are ways to handle this to make the sport rebound, so to speak. I don't think we're going to. So at this point, it's just like, let's hope that we have a solid year of some good horses running, because that's the bottom line. You got to hope. Say what you want about these horses. You look at Medina Spirit, the poor horse, I had no say on who was training them, and obviously was a very good horse. And so you just got to hope for good horses, good performances.
We saw good horses this year for sure. Life was
really
good.
good
Jackie's
horses.
Warrior, Essential Quality. I'm mad at Hot Rod Charlie, but he was fun throughout the year. Flightline, Medina Spirit, Knicks Go. This was a great year for horses. Let's just let the horses be the story in 2022, because it's
very well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
What is your Jared says, oh, you beat me to it. Jared Clemens says Jared's resolution, keep the COVID and the STD test under 4 next year. That's true. What is my over under would set to be at 3.5 there. That's I've never had an STD test, but I have had COVID tests. So I've wondered if I think we've all wondered if we should get an STD test, but I haven't. What was I gonna say? I got sidetracked on the STD talk. No, yeah, you're right. Just let the horses do the talking for once. Final thoughts, because we are at the end of the year now. No more racing to really talk about this year. I'm gonna put you on the spot. You haven't had time to think about it. I haven't had time to think about it. What was the race of the year for you?
The Alan Jerkins at Saratoga was the race of the year for me. I thought that was just fantastic to see. Life is Good and Jackie's Warrior run their best. Life is Good did. Jackie's Warrior did. Life is Good ran well. Just got a bad ride, but to me, yeah, that was the race of the year without any doubt.
Man, that's a good one. Yeah, that might have to be. I hate to go with you on that one. You know what? I'll do Belmont. I'll do the Belmont Stakes.
Yep.
I would probably lean towards yours, but you said it, so I'll go Belmont. That just those two horses throwing it down and Hot Rod running. It was just an unbelievable Belmont. These horses really showed how good they were, these 3-year-olds. So, and it's funny that we both listed off 3-year-olds. That kind of, and Knicks Go, obviously it's hard to, he maybe was the performances of the year because he was so good, but his races were so dominating every time that it really wasn't that close. You could say the Classic, but shit, it was visually very amazing race, but it was very anticlimactic because he just cruised around the track.
Yeah. That's definitely true. It's like he never really had a challenger, right? So the race, like I said, they were great, but it's not like, wow, remember when Knicks Go battled so-and-so? No, he didn't battle anybody. He just killed them all.
Yeah. Definitely one of the moments of the year, Steve, would be, like you said, Yalpon and Friends Fire. Definitely has to be one of the moments of the year, because that was, to be there live and seeing that in person was just, it was awesome. It was unbelievable. That was a great day. That was just an unbelievable day of racing, top to bottom that day. And of course, good to see a lot of good racing this year. And, like I say, hopefully we 2022, we can let the horses do the talking. We can shut up about idiot Bob Baffert and kind of get back to enjoying the sport for what the reasons we got here, right? The reasons we love it, the reasons that still get us, you see a horse like Flightline do that thing. Those are the reasons how we got here, why we have the site, why we get up every day and want to do this and do shows and like that. Like we don't want to sit here and talk about Bob Baffert for another 12 months, So yeah, that's a good 2022 resolution. All right. Thanks, everybody. It's been a hell of a year. Thank you for everybody tuning in, who did tune in for all our shows. Hopefully you guys have a good New Year's Eve and get nice and drunk and watch some football. And hopefully we have a good end of the year in terms of that goes. And remember, don't get too drunk because you don't want to be too hungover for Saturday, because we do have a lot of racing along with those 4 Derby preps that we just talked about. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Alterman. Happy New Year, guys.